Sorry about the miscommunication last week, but of course, we weren't able to get the show on last week. We're going to do it this week. A little bit of a different show today, a little bit shorter, but that's because we got some big news coming later on. Kade Cameron, Danny Stipanovich, as usual, on 94 feet. Danny, how you doing today?
Great, Kate. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep my mouth shut this show. We got a big announcement dropping tomorrow. Isn't that right?
Well, I was going to say, I think we deserve to be able to tell the people tonight,
That's facts.
give a little bit of a little insight about what's going on because again, some big news coming. Like I said, short show today, but that's because we've got some big news coming later this week, and we'll make sure to stay tuned for the end of it for that announcement coming around. Now, Danny, like I said, we weren't able to do a show last week, but I mean, for us, it's a little bit of a special week last week, January 19th of last year, 2022. You doing good, Danny?
Hey, just dropping my phone.
I know, I get that, but last year, 2022, January 19th, that was the very first day that we did 94 feet. The first time that this show has hit the airwaves. And Danny, let's reflect a little bit. I mean, this has been obviously a long year in the making. It's a lot's happened, a lot has changed with the show, but I mean, I gotta say, I'm proud about where we're at today and how much we've come along. Even though it doesn't really feel like it, it's been a hell of a ride so far.
I mean, hey, we've done a lot of shows over the past year. Kate. It's kind of impressive how far we've come. Once a week. We're not consistent, but we had a ran through the NBA finals like it was nothing. We did like 5 shows in a week, something crazy like that. It's been an honor. It's been a blessing for sure. I didn't think we'd be here, and we're gonna keep going. We still got another semester in the mix. It's been a fun year. I can't. We say this every year, like whether it's like a winter break, Kate, or like summer, spring break. We're like, yo, it's already a summer break. We're already here.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we've already gotten a year down, and I think one of the biggest things to think about. I mean, at least for us, like I'll admit, I compare the show a lot to some of the other shows that Blaze has to offer and whatnot. I feel like with this show, I mean, it sounds dumb, I know, but like getting that most innovative show on Blaze, like at the time we kind of made a joke about it. I feel like obviously proud and whatnot, but still kind of made a joke about it. But I feel like I mean, we've lived up to the name. I mean, we're doing stuff that I feel like nobody else is really doing within that community. Obviously, I mean, we're doing live streams now, which is something that I don't think a lot of people have been doing. I mean, I'd say we're the most consistent show on Blaze. So it's overall a lot of stuff has come this way, and I think it's turned out pretty fantastic the way it is. So one
Hey,
year
and shout
down,
out to you,
hopefully.
Kate. Hey, putting on this beautiful stream. You orchestrated all this. It looks great. It just keeps getting better too.
Oh, 100%. It keeps getting better. I mean, we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to get bigger. And I mean, shoot, hopefully in a year from now, we're talking about how much growth we've seen, how much difference we've seen, how much change we've seen over this past year, over the past 2 years, starting it back in 2022. But Danny, let's get right into it. Again, like I said, shorter show, but that's because we're strictly going over fashion this episode. And we want to talk about something we did last year, but also want to focus on this year, and that's the top predictions for 2023. Danny, we mentioned it last year. I feel like when it comes to fashion, there wasn't really anything big that stood out. I mean, we talked about Gorpcore, which was obviously a little bit, I think, unique for 2022, just because it was the one trend that I feel like really stood out compared to the rest, even though really realistically it wasn't even that big. So I feel like first question is, do you think that's going to change this year? Do you think that 2023 is going to have its set style and fashion and whatnot that's going to be that one staple for this current year?
I don't think so. I think fashion is like on a on a nice track. Sorry, one sec. There's some background noises, but like there's really no trends. It feels like anymore. Like that everyone's hopping on. I think Gorpcore is still going to be around. We can get into our predictions later. But I don't think I think fashion is at a time where people are kind of just wearing what they want and they're exploring. Brands aren't really like taking over the industry. I mean, obviously there's more hype brands, but there's not like a couple years ago when everyone was wearing Supreme uh, or Bape, even going longer back in time. Fashion's at a time where people are wearing what they want, and it's kind of a great time to mess with your fashion and get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some truth to that. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are comfortable wearing what they want to wear these days. I mean, as you mentioned, I feel like back in the day, it was always that Supreme, the Bape, the what I mean, Off White. That was the kind of those brands were dominating. That kind of style was dominating. They all felt that same style as well. the just going for the design, the logos, all that stuff. It wasn't necessarily something that focused strictly on maybe the fit of the look or necessarily the way that it looked on somebody's body. I feel like this is where you start seeing that change now that you're kind of talking about, where people aren't necessarily going for specific brands, going for specific looks or ideas. They're just going what they feel like fits their body best. They're going for this look. They're the I guess the it's, I don't know. It's hard to separate it as in like outfit, and fit isn't just the way it fits on your body, but they're going for that second definition. They're going for the way it fits on the body rather than the brand, the design, the designer, all that stuff. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, I got you for sure.
I will say though, when we do go through the predictions, I do have at least one idea for what I think is going to kind of be that one standout style of fashion this upcoming year. At least in my opinion, especially with some of the events that happened towards the end of last year, I think it's going to have a big influence on what we see going to this upcoming year. But with that being said, it's also fashion. Obviously, got to tie the shoes into it as well. Danny, it's obviously with shoes. I mean, just do you have any realistically? Do you have any just like overarching things that you could see happen in 2023? Because we've talked about it last year, fantastic year in shoes. This year, doors wide open. I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to top what happened last year.
Yeah, ooh, somehow Jordan brand Nike keeps coming back. If we want to get into like overarching thing, I think not to nail down just one shoe, but just in general, I think Jordan brand is gonna continue their hot streak, closing out 2022 with the Chicago ones in December, Cherry 11s, and I think we're gonna see a run of kind of the year of the retro in 2023. Honestly, big picture, I think looking through some of the designs already, Air Jordan 185 cut black white is retroing again. And in a couple months, the Air Jordan 3 Reimagine white cements. That's another big, hyped release. So I think Jordan Brand's going to, move away from, just throwing on any color on the Jordan 1 or the Jordan 4. And I think they're going to bring back a lot of retros, seeing how successful, especially that when the Cherry 11s dropped and had that much hype. I think that showed the market something because, in the past, Jordan 11s have always been that December shoe. But, going back, Jordan has not always hit on that December Christmas release like they did with the 11. So I think we're going to see a big year of the retro.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you talk about the holiday releases. I mean, last season you talked about the Cherry 11s. The Cherry 11s wasn't even the real highlight of that holiday season, and but that still shows you. You're right. Jordan continues to push out that Jordan 11 silhouette during the holiday season. It was the Cherry 11s last year. It was the cool gray 11s in 2021. I want to say in 2020 it was the Jubilee 11s, which is a kind of underrated colorway in my opinion when you're talking about Jordan 11s. So I like that. I think you're right. When it comes to Jordans, I feel like they're going to be re-retroing a lot of stuff because they saw the amount of success that they have. Now the question is, what are they going to decide to re-retro? Because you look at some of the big things that they re-retroed last year, whether it was the Chicago 2s, the Chicago 1s, the Lost and Found colorway, obviously the Cherry Red 11s. I mean, realistically, I feel like you've almost gotten so much hype out of that when it comes to Jordan this year, they can re-retro whatever they want. And there's going to be, I mean, I can maybe only think of 2 or 3 shoes that they can re-retro that people are going to be on top of no matter what.
I also think they're going to be retroing more than just the 3s, 11s, and the 1s. I could see them going back to, they did retro a lot of 2s, but maybe some 12s, 13s. So I want to see some more retros. Kind of bring back the classics back. Bring some hype back there to other
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm
brands.
happy. I'm
Yeah.
happy that you mentioned the 12s, considering that I feel like that's a shoe that has not gone. I mean, they used to be. I remember when the OVO 12s dropped. I mean, that was big. Obviously. I mean, I think you can look at that OVO collaboration with Jordan. I think it's a great collaboration. I just don't think it gets the hype it deserves.
I don't know.
You don't like
Deserving.
it?
I thought it was a little underwhelming for the amount of hype that was there. Just I don't know. They just felt it was just all white and all black. I wanted a little bit more, but I know that Drake likes basic shoes like that.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, especially when you looked at the Nocta collection that he's been dropping as of last year.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, the most recent collaboration was an all white off or Air Force One. I mean, it's the most basic thing with a little decorative part where it's supposed to say Air Force at the bottom. I mean, that's the only difference. Like he doesn't go out of the box with that stuff. So But with that being said, I mean, you look at 2023, if he does decide to look into some new silhouettes and whatnot, which I mean, it'd be different for sure coming out of somebody like Drake. It's still not necessarily out of the question, you know. I think it could definitely make a resurgence, but I do disagree with that. I do think the OVO Jordan 12s, I mean, they were definitely underwhelming, but they're still just a crispy, nice looking pair of shoes. Can't go wrong with it. I think, in a sense, if you bring something like that back, I don't think they obviously will, but if you did, I think they could definitely go for big money at this moment, especially on the Nike app and the sneakers app.
I will say I'll throw out another shoe, Kate, since we're kind of talking shoes now. I think in 2023 it's going to be a big year for the Air Force Ones. I know they've always been in the game. The white on whites are always going to be sold out come Christmas time. But with the Dunks hype dying off just a little bit, Air Force One, they had that Louis Vuitton collection that no one can get their hands on. But there's an off-white Air Force One Paris, all gray dropping sometime in 2023. This is a shoe that Virgil did design, and there's some hype along it. There's going to be some more Air Force One hype, so I think we're going to see a big year for the Air Force One, especially with low top sneakers are still a big thing. We saw all the hype that Travis is dropping with he has another upcoming one low releasing soon, the olive colorway. So I think we could see a big AF one year.
Okay. I mean, I feel like it's hard to disagree with that just because of how popular Air Force Ones are. I mean, as you mentioned, they're obviously going to be a shoe that will continue to be sold out by the time the holiday season comes around. And they're going to be, I mean, they're a staple at each time of the year. So I completely understand that. With that being said, though, I mean, you got to imagine that with the Air Force One, that's going to be a silhouette where Nike might have to get a little creative with what they put out there. I mean, you've seen some of the other collaborations. I want to say the last collaboration that got really big with the Air Force One was the Paranoise collaboration. I think that was end of 2021, if I remember correctly. And that was, I mean, overall a decent shoe. But I think if you want to get the Air Force One back onto that big market like it was, I mean, more than just having that plain white Air Force One, they've got to get a little more creative with it.
I will say this, in summer 2023, Fat Joe, a big dude, literally, but a big guy in the sneaker community. Like, this guy's a classic sneakerhead. He has some of the craziest collections. He's actually getting his own Air Force One, design this year, dropping sometime in the summer. Terror Squad Nike Air Force One collab. So, there are kind of expanding, getting some more collabs other than just, Virgil and Louis V on the AF ones. So I'm excited for that collab, see what that looks like. Right now, early pictures, it's just a simple black and white. I hope Fat Joe does a little bit more with the shoe than what the early pictures have surfaced that it's looking like. But I'm sure that there's going to be some hype, especially for the old heads in the sneaker community.
Oh yeah, I could see that 100%. I like how, I mean, I guess that's a better way. I should probably rephrase what I said earlier. I think for the Air Force Ones to come back, they got to have good collaborations and good colorways that are going to be something that the normal person can actually get their hands on and afford, not the Louis Vuitton off-white Air Force collaboration that came out last year. I mean, probably one of the most hyped shoes from last year, but unfortunately nothing that I think the common person was going to be able to get their hands on. But we've done a lot of fashion talk. Danny, let's get into the real nitty-gritty of it. Let's start off with the first question. When it comes to sneakers, we talked about it last year. Jordan was the easy runaway for the top sneaker brand of the year. 2022 or 2023, different story. What do you think is going to happen this year?
Sorry, I'm reading the chat. Anna don't agree with my Air Force prediction. We'll see. Run me that question again.
No, I was going to say how 2022, we've talked about it. Jordan brand ran away with easily the best sneaker brand of the year. 2023, do you think it's going to be a different story? Do you think another brand is going to kind of take over that top spot? Or do you think that Jordan is going to continue to keep its reign as the number one sneaker brand for the second year in a row?
Oh, Nike and Jordan, they're king, they're top right now. I don't know if you disagree with that, but we've been talking about New Balance and how much of a huge year they had in 2022. So I think they can definitely, take that number 2 spot, hop Adidas. I mean, Adidas is, coming back with some Sambas and Gazelles. Those are popping off. I know you just picked up a pair of Sambas. But these New Balance collabs, man, I'm just going to run through a couple that dropped in 2022. They no misses at all. The Teddy Santis, with the 993s and the 990s. Joe Fresh with the 550s. The Benbury even had uh, a collab. So New Balance was not missing at all. I would not be surprised if we see them take that number 2 spot in 2023. I don't know if that's a hot take, Cade.
No, no. Okay, actually, that's something I want to get into. So obviously, I think Nike and Jordan are going to continue to keep that number one spot without a doubt. They're not going to drop at all anytime in the near future. New Balance is going to be that number two spot. I 100% think so. I think New Balance is going to be a company in general that, I mean, you saw it with Adidas. Yeezy fell off. Adidas is now releasing Yeezys pretty much without that Yeezy branding to it. New Balance, you talked about the collaborations they had last year. I think they're going to continue to make those collaborations on some of the silhouettes they have, which silhouettes that have now put themselves in pop culture is one of the nicer silhouettes, considering that they have that dad shoe persona to them. But with that being said, they're going to be a silhouette that, I mean, to put it simply, I think with New Balance, they're going to be the most creative brand this year. You know, I mean, they're willing to kind of put a little bit more of a unique twist on the silhouettes they have. They're not stuck in their ways about wanting to keep the silhouette the exact same every single time. So I think I agree with you. I think this is the year when it comes to shoes that New Balance hops over Adidas, and that even though Adidas is kind of starting to pick up that steam again, it's not going to pick up that same level of steam that New Balance has been picking up. So with that being said, yeah, New Balance on top. But I will say a little later on, we'll talk about it. I think Adidas is going to have itself a position in fashion this upcoming year. It'll just be in a little bit of a different way.
Okay, I'm excited to see what you say. But you said, I'll just say one more thing, Cade. You touched on what makes Adidas unique is they're not just retroing. You know, I mean they are, but like these hype collabs aren't just retros, and these are unique collabs. Like the shoes, like there's stories behind the shoes. The color blocking is stuff that brands that just don't do with their running shoes like Adidas or Nike. So shout out to New Balance. What's next for What's next for us though?
All right, so keeping with sneakers, obviously we discussed brands. We both think Jordan's going to be number one. But what do you think is going to be the top silhouette this year? This is something that you nailed last year. You had the Jordan 2 as one of the top silhouettes last year, and I think you were on top of that. The Jordan 2 had so many good collaborations, Union, AMA. Obviously, they had Off-White was 2021, but they also had the Chicago 2s dropping at the very end of the year. So, all right, Jay Blavin had a collaboration at that point as well. A lot of great 2 collaborations. So you're on point with that one. But what do you think is going to be the big collaboration or not collaboration, but silhouette this year? When it comes,
do you have a prediction? Do you have a prediction?
I have something in mind, but I want to say I might be a little bit of a hot take.
Okay, man. I right now I honestly don't. If I had to pick a shoe, it's going to be the Air Force Ones that I just picked, or the Jordan 4. I mean, the Jordan 4, they haven't been dropping too many shoes. Like this is the most shoes that Jordan brand has dropped with the 4. The Old Navies, they got Jordan 4 SB, the green joints coming up later in the year. So I think they're just gonna keep pumping out Jordan 4s. Honestly, not too much of a hot take. I feel like the Jordan 2 was a hot take last year. I'm not prepared with a hot take. I'm gonna just go with the Jordan 4.
Okay, Jordan 4, that's going to be a solid one. I'm going to go with a hot take on this one. I think it's going to be one that kind of resurges. You discussed it a little bit earlier, especially with the OVO collaborations in the past. I think the Jordan 12 is going to be the shoe of the year this year. I think they're going to find a way to come back into it. I think there's going to be a lot of really good. I think it could be the shoe that everybody's going to want to collaborate with this year. I feel like it fell off, and those collaborations are going to start coming back up with it. Just in general, I mean, the 12, I feel like last year, obviously, there weren't too many silhouettes that dropped in the Jordan 12, that silhouette in general. But I think that Nike knows that they have something with that, and it's going to continue in one of those trends where, I mean, the ones, the threes and the 4s are all going to kind of be those shoes that are going to stick around for a long time. Those are never dropping, but they always have some silhouette on the back burner ready to go when that kind of wants to pick up that popularity. You mentioned it with the 2s last year. You were right about that. I think you've seen it in the past with the 5s, definitely, especially with the Off-White collaborations. I think this is going to be the year that the 12 comes back into pop culture. I think that's going to be the time that you're going to see collaborations with the 12. You're going to get a lot of unique, different colorways with the 12. And that's just my pick for shoe of the year, in my opinion. I think it's time for it to come back,
Okay, hey, March 12th, the AMA Jordan 12 is dropping the black and maroon colorway. So if there's a good, right now resale is kind of crazy, $500-ish, 500 to 600. So the hype is definitely there. I can see this happening. The Jordan, I like what Jordan Brand's doing with this 12. They're kind of retroing some old 12s. I think late last year they retroed the 12 taxis. Not too much for resale, but that's another classic. So slowly Jordan Brand is dropping more 12 shoes, and then we'll see what the response is like with the AMA 12s. AMA, they've had some banger shoes. We had their picks. Some of their shoes were on for our sneaker of the list here for 2022. So I like the take it. I can't argue.
Exactly. And the AMA 12s, I feel like you look at the collaborations AMA has had. Obviously, they did a fantastic. I mean, I think they've killed all their collaborations. I will say, I think the AMA threes that they had, I think they could have done a lot better. I feel like they just missed out on a lot of the characteristics. At the time, they're really hot just because of the first collaboration AMA had with Nike and Jordan. But I mean, you look at the fours, you look at the 12s that are coming up, you look at the twos, all fantastic looking shoes. So I think the 12s are going to be that collaboration with the 12s is going to be the one that puts them back on the map, put this 12 back on the map, and gives us a really good year of the Jordan 12, in my opinion. So that's just kind of what I'm feeling out of the silhouettes out of this year.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, next week I'm gonna come with you with a better take. Kate. Don't worry.
Okay,
Got you.
I'll
Yeah.
wait for that. Okay, so kind of switching away from sneakers to just fashion in general. Danny, is there going to be kind of going with the trends and whatnot? Do you think there's going to be any particular fashion piece that's going to stick out more than the rest? I mean, again, it's a little bit hard to judge this one because last year I feel like there wasn't anything special or unique that really stood out. Um, this year, is it going to be? I mean, I know we talked about it at the beginning of the show, but is there going to be just any piece in general that everybody's going to hop on?
I think so. I have one piece. I'm interested to see your take on this. With the World Cup ending, Kate, I don't know how locked into you were in the World Cup, but I was pretty locked in the whole way following the U.S. until they lost. I watched a little bit of Mexico, and then I was watching. I don't know if you saw that the final game, Argentina, and that was just the craziest game. So the soccer hype is slowly coming back to America. Would you say that?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
Actually,
yeah.
I'm happy that you brought that up because that's what I was about to bring up. Actually,
Really? No way.
yep.
Okay.
I was
So
gonna say, I think I'm not sure if we're on the same page with it, but I mean, this is part of the reason why I thought Adidas is going to be at least somewhere in the landscape of what's going to be in fashion this year. I think when we're talking about just overall fashion, I want to say the right word for it is bloat core, but the old soccer jerseys, the ones with the collars and whatnot, I think that's going to make a big comeback this year.
I'm so surprised because I think there's gonna be huge, a lot of hype coming in out of nowhere, really from the soccer jerseys, because Bella Hadid just like a couple weeks ago, one of her outfits went viral, rocking an oversized football jersey, and there's some hyped collaborations, coming out. Palace and Gucci are coming out with some football jerseys. Balenciaga and Adidas. That's another collab. So Adidas, messing with the high brand Balenciaga. Palace got a deal with Umbro. I did just a little bit of research, so I think there's definitely a possibility that soccer jerseys kind of find their way into like maybe just like more mainstream, because I feel like not too many people are rocking soccer jerseys in like a fashionable way. Is that fair to say? Like baseball or like basketball here in America, at least.
Oh wait, hold up, Danny. I'm not gonna lie, my AirPods just went out, so I can't hear. I didn't hear a single thing you just said. But one second, I'll be right back on that. But going off, I mean, kind of getting an idea of what you were talking about. I think one of the big things that at least drew me to this was the fact that just in general, I think it's something that's been popular in Europe for some time, obviously with the soccer culture out there and whatnot. But I think, I mean, I've obviously fallen into this culture, but the kind of comeback of the Adidas Samba, I mean, that's a classic soccer shoe. I think that's going to kind of transition us into a time frame, especially with the World Cup just ending, where you're going to start seeing the transition to more soccer oriented, almost a European style that we're going to see here in the United States. That's just kind of my take on that. Now, whether it's soccer jerseys or other kind of fashion pieces and whatnot, I don't know. But I think just that Adidas, Puma, those kind of European styles are going to be some of the bigger ones this year.
Yeah, no, I don't know if so you didn't heard what I said last, but Balenciaga and Adidas are lined up to have a collab later this year. So we'll see how those jerseys pop off, and if we see more people, people in like the hype sneaker, people that like streetwear stuff gravitate towards that release. I'm definitely interested to see what that's looking like.
Yeah, exactly. I think. I mean, and we even saw it last year too, a little bit with Gucci and Adidas. I mean, obviously, I think that's a collaboration that a lot of people weren't really big on, just simply because of the idea that again, it kind of had that elusiveness, that exclusivity to it. But at the same time, I also feel like you bring kind of those collaborations and whatnot, which Adidas is going to have to look into, especially with because they lost Kanye and whatnot, which makes perfect sense why they'd want to. But you're going to have to look at a different way to try bringing more people in with the different collaborations, because we all know that's how you're going to bring people in. And I think you could very easily do that by focusing on your soccer lifestyle. I mean, that's what Adidas has kind of based its image off of, is soccer. So with the World Cup finishing up, with the fact that they have to look into new collaborations and whatnot, the Samba's coming back. I mean, just that soccer culture, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it. Soccer culture, soccer lifestyle, anything like that.
We're
Like
not the
it's,
we're
I
not the
think,
right guys to be talking about soccer.
yeah, not at all. I was gonna say, I mean, I tune in for soccer every 4 years, and that's about it. But
Facts.
I still think that's going to be a big fashion piece for this upcoming year. Um, that's just my opinion. I mean, other than that, I don't really think there's going to be anything massive that stands out. I think the vintage trend is still going to be riding high on that wave. Um, Gorpcore, I feel like that one might actually fall off more than anything. I mean, I
I
know
was
that was
gonna say
bigger last
I
year.
think Gorpcore might take off a little bit more just because
Okay.
I, I don't know. I think these fuzzy fleece jackets. I've been wanting to get like the Stussy 8 Ball
Oh yeah,
fleece
no, 100%.
jacket for a while, and I think they might those and varsity jackets I think are two pieces that might take off in 2023. Staying with the fleece jackets, the North Face collabed with Cause, Supreme, and Gucci this past year. I really only think that Supreme collab was done right. The Gucci and Cause one were okay. I think we talked about it on the show actually. And then Ami, how do I say this brand? Amier Leon Dor. Did I say that right, Cade?
It's close enough. I know what you're talking about.
Close enough, yeah. So they got another collab lined up with North Face dropping later in this year. So I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. So I think Gorpcore is going to stay in 2023, especially with the fleece jackets. And then going on to the varsity jackets, I feel like I was just in Melrose over winter break. And I was shopping down in Melrose, and there's tons of varsity jackets for sale. And I don't know if varsity jackets is that already a thing or not. I feel like it's not like mainstream yet, but I really want to get my hands on one of them first.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I feel like with varsity jackets, they've been a little bit. I mean, they haven't been. They've obviously been big in the past and whatnot, but I feel like that's one of those um, kind of fashion pieces that really isn't as big as what it used to be.
Mhm.
Now, but I do agree with that. I think if you can find the right varsity jacket, that's something that could be one of those pieces that go big. I will say, I mean, obviously having the job with the Suns and whatnot, I do get to look at some of their merchandise pretty early on. And they do. I mean, this is one that I mean, you've got to see this in person. It's not, you wouldn't think Suns when you see it, but it is easily one of the cleanest varsity jackets I've ever seen. Like I think they're selling it for $1,200. So I mean, they're putting money into that, but like, and they can't sell. Nobody's going there to spend a $1,200 on a jacket, but they're the nicest things. I'll have to get a picture next time I'm at the arena, because they're easily I mean, one of the nicest jackets I've ever seen, especially for a varsity jacket. I think it's a collaboration with somebody, if I remember correctly. Um,
Okay, yeah.
I couldn't
Yes,
tell you.
no, definitely. I'm excited because there's some beautiful varsity jackets out there. Only thing that would hold back this trend is like if there's just no collabs, if brands just don't collab, and put out cool varsity jackets. I saw Huff just dropped a pretty cool varsity jacket reselling for about 200, so some hype around there. But yeah, you definitely send me what that Suns varsity looks like.
I'll say, hey, hold up. I'll grab it. I'll grab a picture of it to you right now and send it to you. But it is hands down probably one of the nicest jackets I've seen, especially when it comes to a varsity jacket. But yeah, no, I think if you can find a good vintage varsity jacket, I think, because I feel like that's the one thing too, is like if you get something new, it's not going to have that same style to it as something vintage. And of course, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, the vintage style is what makes, I think, a lot of people, it gets a lot of people invested right now.
Facts. You got any other predictions, Cade? I think I'm all up.
I want to say, I feel like again, it's been hard to kind of pin down any particular just trends, especially in fashion. I feel like with social media, whatnot being as big as it has been with fashion as of recently, at least from my perspective, everybody kind of has their own unique style. It's like there's nothing that really gets people going in one style, as you mentioned at the very beginning of the show. So I think in that style, I don't know. I can't see anything really that big other than some of the stuff we were talking about.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we still hit on some pretty good predictions. I really do think these football jerseys are going to take off for sure.
Yeah,
And you
100%.
know, we talked a lot about sneakers as well, New Balance. I think they're going to keep building. Something we didn't talk about though, Kate. Um, you know, maybe this is a segment for itself, but the Nike Jaw One. Have we talked about that yet
Ooh,
on
no,
the
we
show?
haven't. But I think when it comes to basketball shoes, that might be. I'm not going to say it's sneaker of the year when it comes to basketball shoes, but I can definitely see those being big.
I mean, they're already taking off like crazy. I'm personally never gonna buy them just because right now I can't associate myself with any thing Memphis Grizzlies as a Lakers fan. But I will say it's a clean shoe. I would not be surprised if Jaw takes over like the Nike signature basketball area, like you know, in the past, like Kyrie did early when he first signed. Sad to see Kyrie get cut from Nike.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it makes sense. So, hey, we talking about the Grizzlies too. Suns got the win over them tonight, which I can't complain about.
oh, good win, really.
Hey, I'll take it any day. Hey, actually, I got to talk about this too. So, I got called into the arena today because I was expected to work, but it turns out Girl Scouts took over the area that we were supposed to be working. So, pretty much had no real duty being there today. So, for like an hour, I was chilling over by the like club area at the ground level, and I mean, I was sitting there for like 15, 20 minutes, and that's like right where their players go by to go out to warm outs and whatnot. It's crazy when you see somebody that's like 6'8", 6'10" walking by you. It's intimidating as hell. I'll say that.
Who'd you see?
Bismack was
You
the guy
saw
that walked by me that kind of caught me off guard because I was like looking at him like, yo, he's big ass dude. But I'm trying to think. I think I saw Damian Lee at one point, and there was just like, I mean, there were just some staffers and assistant coaches and whatnot that were walking out with the Grizzlies and the Suns and whatnot. I don't really, I mean, I'd say hi as they walk by because they'd say hi, but that was really about it. But hey,
That's pretty
crazy to
sick.
see it, like just crazy to see Warmos right next to the court.
Bismack's like he's like 6'10", right? He might be 7.
No, he's not 7. He's 6. He's smaller than DeAndre, but
Oh,
he
okay,
can up
got
there
you.
for sure. Hey, real quick, I sent you the jacket. Take a look at that real quick because it says 850 on that site, but I think they're selling at the team shop for 1200.
Ooh.
Yeah, isn't
Oh,
that
no.
nice?
That's what I'm saying. Varsity jackets. There's some nice varsity jackets out there. This is clean.
Exactly. No, it's definitely one of the nicer jackets I've seen, especially for varsity. Like I'm not necessarily inclined to buy varsity jackets, especially out here when I mean, you could get 2 good weeks out of wearing it and then you have to put it up for the year with how the weather is out here. But I mean, that's a varsity jacket that I'd try rocking all the time. So I don't know about that.
Do you have
Uh,
the varsity jacket?
no, I don't. I've honestly considered turning like getting one in like my old high school's colorway and whatnot, just to like rock something. I mean, I don't think many people up here in Phoenix would like recognize it, so I could kind of get away with it. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I've kind of thought about that because I feel like that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, no, I need to get my hands on one. My high school got the same colors as the ASU maroon and gold, so that'd be
Oh, see,
perfect for
that's
me
kind of
too.
sick,
Yeah.
actually. See,
Yeah.
mine was green and gold, so I still think it's a pretty good colorway, especially when you're talking about like styling
Oh.
and whatnot. But dang,
Our
maroon
high
and gold
school
standing
rival
out there though.
was my high school rival was green and gold, Cade. What was your
Damn,
high
okay.
school called?
Canyon Del Oro.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean,
Who's the best basketball player out of Canyon Del Oro, whatever?
and like history, like overall,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. We've had no good people come out.
Tucson's not producing like that?
No, Tucson's producing. I mean, shoot, Bijan Robinson went to
Oh,
high
yeah.
school in Tucson. I mean, shoot, I mean, Sean Elliott went to high school in Tucson. Um, I mean, there's some guys that have come out. I mean, they're producing it just up on the north side. There's nobody coming
Oh,
out.
okay,
So,
got you, got you.
yeah, it's just the north side. You know what I mean? But hey,
I heard there
actually,
was
no.
I heard there was some potential prospect down there from that high school, Cade Cameron. Unfortunately, too many knee injuries derailed his career.
Hey,
But
I was
he
I was
had
at
the
the top
height.
of my game. Top of
Stretch
my game
4.
for a long time. Oh my god. Okay. Hey, so do you think that's all for fashion?
I think so.
All right. Hey, time for some big news, Danny.
Okay.
Hey, okay. So obviously, of course, we put the tweet out a little earlier. We don't say stay tuned for no dumb reason. You
I
know what I
like
mean?
that
This is
tease. I like that tease.
hey, got some attention too, but
Yeah.
okay, this is we're the official statement is going to come out probably tomorrow, but of course, we want everybody to kind of be aware of this. Again, feels fit that this is happening also a week after the 1 year anniversary of the show being around. But with that being said, we're going to be taking the show live, not here. But we're going to have a live audience. We're going to be going for a Wednesday night show, 2 hour show, a little bit of a specialty show at Cold Beer and Cheeseburgers down at Chase Field. So again, it's going to be a live show. It's going to be in front of an audience. It's going to be an
I'm a little
opportunity to kind of.
nervous.
Are you nervous?
Nah.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm chilling with it. I don't know how to deliver big news like this. I don't know. I didn't really script it out in my head, but
Nah.
just in general, it's gonna be some big stuff. 2 hour episode, live show. It's gonna be in front of an audience. I don't know how many people are gonna be there. Obviously, I'm gonna try getting as many people there as possible. But yeah, no, I mean it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a little bit more unique. This is the reason why we did fashion this episode and only fashion is because we're gonna spend 2 hours just talking basketball down at Cold Beer and Cheeseburgers. Weirdly, at a baseball stadium, but I mean, you're talking a block away from Footprint Center, so I guess it's still kind of close.
Hey, Kate, I gotta say, I'm really hyped. Like, this is gonna be tons of fun. We can be drinking beer, doing a radio show. What?
Hey, I can't. I'm up for that. Get a little bit. I'm up for that. That's all I can say.
It don't get much better than that. Live audience. I'm hyped. I'm personally really excited. I'm surprised out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere. The
Yeah, I know. I was
opportunity.
gonna say. I wasn't expecting us to get that opportunity. I feel like I'll be honest with you. Like, I feel like Blaze. I feel like we kind of go a little bit under the radar with Blaze. We kind of take our
Yeah.
own role and whatnot. But I mean, to get that text, it was obviously fantastic to hear. Getting a live audience for a show Wednesday night, we've never done that. It's going to be a little bit weird, a little bit different. But I mean, we'll have to see how many people actually show up. We'll have to see how many people we can get there. And then on top of that, I
And
mean,
then I'm guessing just like there's gonna be random people just eating there too, right? Just gonna be like,
yeah,
what's
yeah,
going on?
exactly. They'll just be kind of like hanging around there and whatnot, which would be kind of
Yeah.
funny. But I mean, it's still going to be it's going to be a great opportunity. It's going to
Have you
be a
been
great
to
time.
this place, Kane? I haven't been there.
So I've been to the place. So it used to be called used to be part of like the TGI Fridays chain, where it was a brand called Fridays Front Row, where it's just pretty much TGI Fridays in a baseball stadium. So I went there when it was that, but I haven't been since it's been a cold beer and cheeseburger. So I have no clue what it
Okay.
looks like, but I mean, it's going to be at the stadium, which is cool. I mean, I don't know where they're going to have it set up, but like you could look straight into the stadium from the restaurant, which is sick.
Wait, the restaurant's in the stadium?
Yeah.
So why do they have a restaurant in the stadium?
But I don't know. I was gonna say they keep it open all the
Do
time.
people pull up like just for food, or is it mostly just popping for D-backs games? Like,
It's the times I've been, it's usually just for D-backs games, but I've
okay,
also
gotcha.
haven't been in the off season for a long time. I mean, I feel like there'd be a
Okay.
decent amount of people there in general,
What's the
especially.
burger? What's the burger looking like? How good's this burger?
Oh, I have no clue. I've never been to this place.
Oh, you just like walk through it, you said?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was gonna say when it was a different restaurant I've been
Oh,
there,
okay,
but
got
I've
you, got you,
I've
got you.
never been to any of the cold beer and cheeseburger chains, so I have no clue what it's like.
Okay.
But yeah, I was gonna say, hey, hopefully they got a good beer selection. That's all I'm asking for. But yeah, I mean,
It might be our first beer together, Kate. I think so.
a first legal beer maybe, but
First legal, yeah, well,
yeah,
obviously.
exactly. There we go. There we go. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a good time, and hopefully, I mean, shoot, hopefully Mallory will let us drink on during the show.
Hey, to open the show, do you want to slam a beer? See,
Oh my god. Hey, I'm not saying no to that. I'll do it.
We'll see how many people are there first.
Exactly. Hey, get the new. For whoever's listening, get the news out of you. Pop out yourself. Come out 8 to 10 Wednesday. Cold beer and cheeseburgers live at Chase Field. 2 hour episode.
I will
It's
be
gonna
out slamming Cade in a beer
Of course
in a
you
beer
will.
off.
I was gonna say I haven't drank that much in months. So yeah, I don't blame you. You definitely probably could. But Danny, you got any other big news for today?
I don't think so. Nothing big like that. Lakers nice 25-point comeback. That's it. We'll talk about
Hey,
it Wednesday.
I'll tell you this right now. Suns on the come up. They're gonna be right back in it.
Hey, Lakers fighting for a spot too.
I know both teams are. Hey, it's going to be a race to the finish line. We're up on that halfway point in the season. Trade deadline's coming up. It's going to be a fantastic next few weeks, especially in this NBA season. Danny, you got any? Did I already ask that? You got any closing thoughts?
Nah, I'm good.
All right. As usual, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Make sure you come Wednesday night. Cold beer and cheeseburgers at Chase Field, 8 to 10 p.m. It's going to be a fantastic time. And of course, as usual, have a fantastic week. Make the best of it. And we'll see y'all. Not next week. We'll see y'all on Wednesday.